$220,000 gross, net worth zero. That was my exact position in 2023. The explanation wasn't lifestyle, it was structure. High earners between $150,000 and $500,000 lose capital through 5 specific failure points. Most of them are invisible until they compound for a decade. I've made all 5. I'll walk through them in the order they typically fail, and then I'll give you a 30-minute diagnostic to measure which ones are active in your finances today. The most expensive one on the list doesn't even feel like a mistake, it feels like success. We start with the failure that's been hiding inside every raise you've received for the last 5 years. So mistake number 1, the lifestyle drag. When income rises, spending rises to match it. A raise arrives because no rule separates it from the regular paycheck, it flows into the same patterns. A lease renews at a higher tier, dining frequencies increase, travel assumptions change, and within 6 months, the financial floor has quietly risen to absorb the entire raise. Once that floor rises, it rarely ever comes back down. Every raise after that point deepens career dependency instead of reducing it. The fix is the 90-10 routing constraint. 90% of every raise that you receive routes through the capture system before lifestyle has a chance to register it. 10% goes to lifestyle. Without the constraint, lifestyle absorbs the surplus by default, and with it, the surplus compounds by design. Mistake 2, fragile debt. Fragile debt is any income-dependent obligation that produces no strategic return. Car loans, high-interest balances, treat it as a leak in a compounding engine. I carry a home equity loan right now at 8.5%. That is $685 per month. I'm consciously holding the balance to prioritize liquidity during a specific cash window. But make no mistake, it's a textbook fragile leak. Every month that payment persists, it is deployed capital that doesn't compound. Not all debt is fragile, however. My rental property is locked at 2.875%, and that is strategic debt. It produces lots of tax advantages and builds equity. The difference between fragile and strategic is the difference between a leak and a lever. The fix is layer 1 of the raise capture system. Every surplus dollar routes to fragile debt elimination before any other capital deployment. Mistake 3, zero liquidity. This mistake doesn't cost money directly, it costs money indirectly by forcing bad decisions at worst possible times. You see, without reserves, an unexpected expense forces one of 2 outcomes. Liquidate investments, which breaks the compounding chain, or take on new debt, which then reintroduces the fragile obligations. A single disruption can undo months of structured progress. The fix is phased liquidity. Phase 1, for me, is $5,000 at all times, no matter what. Phase 2 is double that, so $10,000 for me at all times. Phase 3, which I strive to have, is double that, so $20,000 before I make any major lifestyle expansions. Each phase must be funded before the capital routes to the next layer. The precision is what separates a system from suggestion. I built a free calculator that I use for this exact diagnostic. It's linked in the pinned comment below and in the description. You can run your own numbers while the framework is fresh. Mistake 4, health neglect. For high earners, physical performance is not a lifestyle choice. It's career infrastructure. A pilot who loses medical certification loses that income entirely. A physician with chronic sleep debt makes poor clinical decisions. An attorney with degraded cognitive capacity bills fewer defensible hours. Health is the operating cost of the income-producing machine that is you. There's many health metrics that you can look at. If you have a smartwatch, you can measure your sleep and you can look at something like the VO2 max. If it's below 35, it correlates directly with cognitive decline and early onset cardiovascular risks. A VO2 max above 45, however, is associated strongly with career longevity, sharp decision-making under pressure, and significantly lower long-term health costs. We'll cover some of these things in later videos. Treat physical optimization as maintenance, not motivation. Zone 2 cardio, for example, resistance training, and tracked recovery metrics belong in the same operational tier as tax routing. Mistake 5. No race capture system. This is the most expensive mistake on the list, and it's the one high earners never identify because it doesn't feel like a mistake, it feels like success. Without a routing protocol, every future race flows into the same unobstructed system that absorbed the last one. That $20,000 raise becomes $2,000 in the bank and $18,000 in absorbed lifestyle. That $60,000 captain upgrade race becomes $5,000 in savings and maybe $55,000 in additional cost structure. The fix is the 4-layer protocol that I broke down in the last video. Fragile debt elimination, liquidity reserves, tax advantage accounts, and bridge capital brokerage. 90% through the system, 10% to lifestyle. Automate every paycheck so that the decisions aren't made on a daily basis or even weekly. Before the trajectory math, which one of these 5 are hitting hardest right now? Drop the number in the comment below. I read every one of them. Between 2018 and 2022, my income was rising. All 5 mistakes were active. Lifestyle expanded, fragile debt accumulated, reserves never materialized, health was optional, and races leaked. By 2023, after a major financial reset, net worth was back to 0. Not because the income failed, but because the structure never existed. Today, net worth is approximately $150,000, and by 2028, when I plan to upgrade to captain, I'll get about $300,000 gross, and that savings trajectory will exceed $600,000. By 2033, which is my target optionality year, my income should hit $400,000, and my savings at that point should be about $2.8 million across brokerage, retirement, and real estate equity. Same career, same pay scale, same airline. The only variable that changed was the structure. The 30-minute audit. Count how many of these were active in your finances. 1. Pull the last 24 months of bank statements. Total every recurring expense that did not exist 2 years ago. That's your lifestyle drag. 2. List every debt payment that isn't a primary mortgage. Multiply that monthly drain by 60. That's the 5-year compounding penalty. 3. Divide liquid reserves by fixed monthly expenses. If the result is below 3, you are one disruption from breaking that compounding chain. 4. Write down your current VO2 max or similar health metrics. If you don't know it, that's the answer. You're not maintaining your primary asset, which is your health. 5. Did 90% of your last race route to a designated capture account? If not, the leak is active. If you got a 0, that means your system is clean. 5 means that you have the maximum structural drag possible. Most high earners score a 3 or a 4. That's not failure, it's diagnostic. Income is thrust, and without a system, thrust produces speed but never altitude. The aircraft moves fast while staying dangerously close to the ground. With a clean system, thrust produces altitude, and altitude is your optionality. If you want to run your own fragility score, the calculator is linked in the description below. For the next video, we will discuss why your salary is structurally designed to keep you dependent on the job that provides it, and the W-2 offset engine that reverses it. Fix the structure, and the income does what it's supposed to do all along.